where peace wears a mask. There are worlds where peace is built on trust, compassion, and understanding. But this world was not one of them. For decades, the nations of Westalia and Ostania lived like two lions forced into the same cage, silent, tense, and ready to strike. Their war was not waged with armies marching across fields or heroic generals raising flags. It was a war of shadows, where secrets were ammunition, lies were armor, and the truth was the most dangerous weapon of all. People walked the streets, went to work, raised families, laughed and dreamed. But beneath their ordinary lives, an invisible battlefield raged. Governments spied on each other. Agents hid behind false identities. Whispers carried more power than bullets. A handshake might start an alliance or end a life. Newspapers spoke of peace, but the air was thick with suspicion. The smallest misunderstanding could trigger a disaster that would swallow millions of innocent lives. And in this world of masks and deception, one man stood above all others. His code name was Twilight. To the enemy, he was a rumor, an urban legend spoken with fear. To his own agency, he was the man they turned to when missions were considered impossible. A master of disguise and observation, he could slip into any role as if he had lived it his entire life. He didn't just learn identities, he became them. A professor one day, a diplomat the next, a criminal when required. Twilight was whoever the mission needed him to be. Yet behind his flawless execution, behind the calm voice and sharp eyes, lay a truth he never shared. Twilight had once been a child shattered by war. He had seen families flee their burning homes, children cry for parents who never returned, dreams crumble into dust. War had stolen his childhood, and from those ashes, he made a silent promise to build a world where no child would suffer what he did. That promise became his purpose. But the world was once again changing, and not for the better. Intelligence reports warned of something dark rising in Ostania. A man of influence, operating in silence, was fueling hatred, manipulating politics, and preparing to reignite a conflict that could swallow nations whole. He was not a threat that could be eliminated with a gunshot. He was a mastermind, hidden behind power, reputation, and layers of secrecy. If war returned, it would be more devastating than ever before.
And so Westalis summoned their best. Twilight was called into action once more. But this mission was like no other he had faced. It would not rely on disguises, infiltration, or silent takedowns. It demanded something far more dangerous, far more unpredictable, and far more personal. For the first time, the greatest spy alive would have to abandon the shadows and step into a life he had never known, a life that required warmth, affection, and family. Twilight had defeated assassins, terrorists, and masterminds, but now he was about to confront something he had never trained for, never studied, never prepared for. The mission that could save the world began with a home. Operation Strix, the mission that should never fail. The world of espionage rarely deals in certainties, but one truth echoed across Westalis intelligence circles. If war broke out between Westalis and Ostania, the devastation would be unimaginable. For years, an uneasy peace had been held together by silent shadows, spies who prevented conflict without the world ever knowing. Among them, one name stood above all: Twilight. A man who could topple regimes, rewrite identities, and bring nations to their knees, all without leaving a trace. But for the first time in his flawless career, Twilight received a mission that was unlike anything he had ever faced. This mission was called Operation Strix. Twilight was summoned to WISE headquarters, where he was briefed on a threat that could shatter the fragile balance of peace. The problem was not an army, a missile, or a political uprising. It was a single man, Donovan Desmond, a powerful and mysterious figure deeply rooted in Ostania's political sphere. His influence was growing silently, and if unmonitored, he could drag both nations into a devastating conflict. There was only one way to get close to him, as Desmond avoided public appearances and moved like a ghost. The only place he occasionally surfaced was at his son's elite school events at Eden Academy. To reach him, he needed to do the unthinkable: build a family. He was ordered to adopt a child who could enter Eden Academy and to create a believable persona as a devoted parent. It sounded simple on paper, but Twilight had dedicated his entire life to working alone. He had built walls around his heart that no one could scale. His childhood had been shaped by war, loss, and survival, leaving no room for warmth, attachment, or family. Yet he accepted without hesitation, because failure meant chaos. It meant innocent lives lost. It meant war.
He assumed a new identity, Lloyd Forger, a calm and respected psychiatrist, ordinary enough to avoid suspicion, sophisticated enough to blend into upper society. As Lloyd, he had to find a child, create a stable home, and present himself as the perfect father, and he needed to do it quickly. But beneath his calm composure, a rare uncertainty flickered. Twilight had mastered disguise, manipulation, and strategy. But parenthood? That was a role with no manuals, no rehearsals, and no escape route. He wasn't preparing for a mission inside enemy territory. He was preparing for a mission inside the heart of society, where lies had to look like love and deception had to resemble family. Operation Strix demanded skills Twilight had never trained for: patience, emotional intelligence, and vulnerability. He knew that living this lie would test him in ways no battlefield ever had. Still, he was prepared to do whatever it took, even if it meant stepping into a life he had never imagined for himself. For the sake of peace, a spy would have to become a father.
The voice continued. To gain access, you'll need a family, a wife, a child. You will enroll the child in Eden and establish contact with Desmond through the parent network. You have 7 days. Twilight's breath slowed. 7 days to build a life, a lie, a perfect illusion. He'd forged 1,000 identities before: diplomat, doctor, mercenary, priest, but never a husband, never a father. For a moment, the agent's mask cracked, not visibly, but somewhere deep behind his eyes. What was family, after all, but a weakness the world could exploit? And yet the mission demanded it. The world demanded it. He closed the file. The pages inside were nothing but tools, a fake name, a fake background, and a new face to wear. Lloyd Forger. That would be him now. A psychiatrist by profession, a husband by necessity, a father by design. As he packed his gear, Twilight looked out at the city from his apartment window, the endless sprawl of smoke and neon, where every light hid a secret. Beneath his calm exterior, a flicker of something unexpected lingered. Curiosity. Could he truly become the very thing he'd spent his life pretending to understand? The mission was simple in theory: infiltrate, observe, report. But this time, it wasn't just about deception. It was about emotion, about stepping into the lives of people who felt, who dreamed, who broke. And as he walked into the night, blending with the crowd like a ghost in plain sight, a single thought crossed his mind. A family, huh? I can fake that. But the world had other plans. Becoming Lloyd Forger. The morning air was crisp, carrying with it the familiar scent of the bustling city, newspapers slapping across pavements, distant car horns, and the chatter of civilians beginning their day with hopeful normalcy.
Twilight stepped into this world not as a spy, not as a phantom in the shadows, but as Lloyd Forger, psychiatrist, citizen, and soon-to-be family man. The transformation began long before sunrise. With surgical precision, he erased Twilight from existence. Documents rewritten, records planted, a new apartment leased, and a new wardrobe that screamed ordinary, trustworthy, safe. The kind of man no one questioned. Lloyd Forger needed to be a man people trusted. Trust opened doors far quicker than threats ever could. He rehearsed the smile in the mirror, not too stiff, not too warm, a smile that said, "You can talk to me." Funny, he thought. He had extracted confessions from warlords with the threat of a single glare, yet pretending to be a kind, approachable neighbor required more effort than any mission before. He walked through his new neighborhood, making mental notes as if profiling enemy territory. Elderly couple at 3A, observant, potential information hub. Man at 2C, loud, likely to gossip. Children playing on the sidewalk, possible social connections for future school activities. Every detail fed into an invisible web he was already spinning. But this time, the web was made of birthday parties, school fairs, grocery store greetings, and morning hellos across shared fences.
Inside his newly furnished apartment, Lloyd unpacked the tools of his new life. On one side of the table, forged adoption papers, Eden Academy admission requirements, city background documents tailored to perfection. On the other, a tiny pair of shoes, a children's storybook, and a soft plush toy. He stared at them longer than he intended. A spy could assemble a weapon in 30 seconds, but assembling a child's bedroom, that felt alien. He placed the toy on the small bed he had set up in the next room. The apartment, though immaculately staged, felt cold, silent, empty. A home needed life and laughter, and children laughed only when they felt loved. How did one counterfeit love? He sat on the sofa, reviewing the Eden Academy dossier. Strict rules, elite standards, unimaginable pressure. For a child to enter, they needed intellect, discipline, refinement. Lloyd exhaled. Not only did he need a child, he needed a genius. Not the kind who solved puzzles, but one who could thrive among the sons and daughters of the nation's most powerful families. He dressed for the day, tightening his tie with a steady hand. Today was step one: find a child. Most agents would have kidnapped one, manufactured a background, and forged a seamless identity, but Lloyd knew better. A child stolen would act like a prisoner. A child chosen might act like a partner. And strangely, a quiet part of him wished for the second option. Not for himself, of course, for the mission. As he headed out, his footsteps echoed in the hallway, confident, yet eerily solitary. No one knew that the man locking his door was the single thin thread on which peace between nations balanced. To everyone else, he was just another face among millions, and that was exactly how a spy survived. But beneath the polished layers of Lloyd Forger's disguise, something unspoken stirred. A spy was taught to anticipate every threat, every twist, every betrayal. But no one had prepared Twilight for the most unpredictable challenge of his career: family. The door clicked shut, and Lloyd walked toward his new life. He believed he was about to recruit a child for a mission. What he did not know was that this step would change him in ways espionage never could. A little girl named Anya. The bell chimed softly as Lloyd stepped into the dimly lit orphanage. The walls were stained with kime, decorated with fading wallpaper that tried and failed to disguise the gloom of the place. A musty scent lingered in the air, mixed with the distant echo of children's laughter, or maybe cries. It was hard to tell. The caretaker, a slouching man with half-lidded eyes and an expression that suggested both boredom and mild annoyance, greeted him with a grunt. Lloyd was used to reading men like him, careless, possibly corrupt, the kind who would sell information, or a child, for a scrap of cash. "I'm here to adopt," Lloyd announced warmly, extending a courteous smile that seemed to startle the caretaker, as if kindness was a rare visitor to this building. A few coins exchanged hands, not a bribe, just a gentle nudge to streamline the process. The caretaker's spine straightened as if confidence could be purchased, and he led Lloyd to the common room. Inside, children huddled together, some playing, some quarreling, some staring at nothing with hollow eyes that had seen too much abandonment for their age. But among them, a small girl sat at a worn-out table, swinging her legs, humming in a rhythm only she understood. A tiny pink-haired child with wide green eyes that held an unusual spark, an alertness as if she was absorbing every detail of her surroundings and of him. The moment Lloyd entered, she straightened, her eyes widened, and she gasped softly, though he hadn't spoken a word yet. Anya had already read his mind. A spy? Wow, he's a real spy. Anya nearly slid off her chair in excitement, tiny hands clutching the edge to keep herself steady. She had spent her entire short life longing for adventure, for something extraordinary. And here he was, the walking embodiment of every fantasy she'd ever imagined. A spy needing a child. A spy needing her.
Lloyd's eyes scanned the children, assessing potential candidates. He needed someone smart, disciplined, capable of passing Eden's exam. Not a baby, but not old enough to question his motives. Before he could voice a preference, the caretaker shoved a stack of files into his hands. Medical reports, test results, complaints, returned adoptions. So many had already been rejected or sent back like faulty purchases. Then he saw her file. Anya, approximate age 6, returned 4 times, trouble adapting, minimal academic evaluation, borderline. The notes were filled with red flags. Perfectly unsuitable on paper. But the moment he laid eyes on her, something shifted. There was an endearing innocence, a raw curiosity that felt rare. She watched him the way agents watched suspects, alert, calculating, and hopeful. He knelt down to ask her a simple test question, expecting confusion or panic. Instead, she answered instantly, because she already knew the answer before he finished speaking. Telepathy had its perks. "Can this girl read?" Lloyd tested, placing a crossword before her to gauge intelligence. To his shock, she completed it in seconds. Anya puffed her chest slightly, proud. She had to impress him. She couldn't let her new life slip away. The man in front of her wasn't just adopting a child. He was her ticket to the adventure she had always dreamed of. Still, Lloyd hesitated. Something felt strange, too convenient, almost like fate. He didn't believe in fate. Fate got people killed. But this child was different. He extended his hand. "I'll take this one." Anya froze, eyes shimmering. No adult had ever chosen her with such certainty. Her heart thumped. She leapt into his arms, and Lloyd, expecting a handshake, awkwardly caught her mid-jump. For a moment, just a second, his posture softened. On the walk back, Anya clung to his coat, refusing to let go as if he might vanish if she blinked. Lloyd carried a single bag of her belongings in one hand, Anya in the other, balancing the unfamiliar weight of responsibility. She peered up at him, sparkling with excitement. "My papa is a spy! My papa is a spy!" she gleefully repeated inside her head. Lloyd couldn't hear it, but somehow he felt the intensity of her stare. "We're not here for fun," he reminded her gently. "We simply need to prepare you for a prestigious school. It will require focus, discipline." Anya nodded seriously for exactly 2 seconds. Then, "I'm going to help Papa fight bad guys." Lloyd sighed. He wasn't sure if she understood a single word he had said, but it was too late. She had nestled into his world, and he had stepped into hers. The mission had officially begun. A spy had gained a daughter. A telepathy had gained a father. Neither knew it yet, but the world would never be the same for either one of them.
The first day as father and daughter. The apartment door clicked open as Lloyd stepped inside, carrying Anya on one arm and her small bundle of belongings in the other. The apartment was modest, clean, organized, and structured with the precision of a man who lived alone and avoided personal attachments. Every object had a purpose, no clutter, no warmth. It was a stark contrast to what a child would imagine a home to be. Anya's eyes darted around the room like a squirrel spotting treasure in every corner. To her, it was a secret base, a spy's hideout. She gasped dramatically. This is where spies live? So cool. Of course, Lloyd had no idea what was racing through her mind. He assumed she was simply overwhelmed. He set her down. You'll stay in this room, he said, opening a small bedroom door. Inside were bare essentials, a bed, a desk, and a small dresser. Anya jumped onto the bed instantly, bouncing with delight. For a child who had slept on creaky orphanage mattresses, this felt like luxury. Lloyd sat her down to discuss their arrangement. His tone was calm, but firm. Listen carefully. For this plan to work, we must behave like a real family. That means you will need to act properly. No misbehavior, no complications. Eden Academy is strict and expects excellence. Anya nodded with the seriousness of a soldier receiving orders. Roger that, she saluted in her head. Lloyd continued, creating a mental checklist. Step 1, get her enrolled. Step 2, pass the interview. Step 3, connect with Donovan Desmond. Everything relied on how well this little girl could play her role. He needed her cooperative, not unpredictable. But unpredictable was Anya's default setting. While Lloyd prepared a simple meal, Anya explored the apartment like a tiny spy. She peeked inside drawers, inspected furniture, and discovered gadgets that no child should ever touch. She found a locked briefcase under a cabinet. Curiosity lit her eyes. She knew something important was inside. She pressed her ear against it like she'd seen in spy movies. Through the kitchen doorway, Lloyd caught her. No snooping, he warned, gently but firmly. Anya pretended innocence, but inside her mind she squeaked, he keeps secret spy stuff in there. I must find out later. They sat for dinner. Lloyd noticed how eagerly she devoured the food, as if accustomed to scarcity. The realization tugged at him, just a little. She wasn't just a tool for a mission. She was a child who had lived without comfort or care. After dinner, Lloyd gave her a test cycle, reading, writing, basic knowledge, to evaluate her academic level. The results were disastrous. She struggled with basic questions, got distracted every few seconds, and occasionally answered before he finished speaking. Too quickly, too accurately, which almost made him suspicious. Her telepathy helped her cheat, but it also made her anxious. Knowing what people expected from her made it harder to deliver naturally. Lloyd exhaled slowly. Getting her into Eden Academy would require a miracle. As night settled, Anya curled under the blanket, sleepy but glowing with joy. She finally had a home and a family, at least in her heart. She watched Lloyd standing by the door, making notes, planning, thinking 10 steps ahead. She didn't understand his mission fully, but she wanted to help him succeed. Good night, Lloyd said, switching off the light. Anya whispered into the darkness. Good night, Papa Spy. Her tiny voice carried sincerity that made even Lloyd pause. He stepped to his own room, sat on the edge of the bed, and closed his eyes. He had completed dangerous missions, infiltrated enemy nations, stared death in the face without hesitation. Yet the thought of raising a child, even temporarily, felt like one of the most challenging roles he'd ever taken on. This was only day 1, and already the mission felt less like an assignment and more like the beginning of something irreversible. Tomorrow, the real test would begin. Preparing for Eden Academy. Morning sunlight filtered through the curtains as Lloyd brewed tea, reviewing a thick booklet titled Eden Academy Entrance Requirements and Interview Protocol. The more he read, the more impossible the task seemed. Eden Academy wasn't just a school, it was a fortress of elitism. Only the most refined, well-mannered, and intellectual children were accepted. Lloyd needed Anya to transform from a chaotic, energetic child into a model of grace and intelligence. Fast. Anya sat at the breakfast table, swinging her legs as she ate. Her mind buzzed, half listening to Lloyd's thoughts, half overwhelmed by them. She must appear elegant. She must speak clearly. She must behave like a top scholar. She must not embarrass me. His thoughts were flying at her like arrows. Anya nearly choked on her bread trying to process them. Lloyd cleared his throat. Beginning today, we'll follow a strict routine designed to prepare you for the Eden Academy interview. You will study, practice etiquette, and learn to behave like a distinguished young lady. Anya's eyes sparkled, not because she understood, but because she thought it sounded like spy training. So, like special mission training? Yes, think of it that way. Instant motivation unlocked. Training began immediately. Lloyd set up a study area with books stacked higher than Anya's head: mathematics, languages, arts, history, etiquette guidelines, mock interview questions. Eden Academy's selection process demanded excellence across every field. First exercise, academics. Lloyd asked simple arithmetic. Anya responded with random guesses, hoping one would match what she heard in his thoughts. Sometimes she got it right, sometimes terribly wrong. She panicked when she couldn't hear his answer first, and Lloyd mistook it for nervousness. He realized academic excellence could not be forced in a day, especially with a child whose educational foundation was shaky. Second exercise, elegance training. Lloyd demonstrated how to sit properly, how to hold cutlery, how to walk with poise. Anya imitated everything, sort of. She tried to sit elegantly but stiffened like a malfunctioning robot. She practiced walking like a refined lady but looked more like a penguin trying ballet. Still, she tried with heart, and that effort softened Lloyd's rigid expectations. Third exercise, mock interview. Lloyd seated Anya across from him, straightened her posture, and began with common questions. Why do you want to attend Eden Academy? Anya beamed. Because it sounds fun and big and rich and... No. Something meaningful. Something thoughtful. Anya tried again. Because Papa spy... She quickly covered her mouth. I mean, because Papa wants me to. Lloyd sighed internally. We're doomed. Despite the chaos, small progress emerged. Anya's enthusiasm, though untamed, was genuine. She wanted to please him. She wanted this to work. Not for the mission, but because she didn't want to lose her new family. Evening approached. Lloyd reviewed the day like a battlefield report. Academics, poor. Manners, unstable. Interview readiness, critical. The mission timetable tightened. He needed a drastic improvement quickly, or all would collapse. Just when the day seemed overwhelming, Anya quietly placed a drawing in front of him. A childish sketch of a man labeled Papa, a girl labeled Anya, holding hands, smiling. Underneath, in crooked letters, Family Mission Together. Lloyd stared at it longer than expected. Something unfamiliar stirred in him. Something warm. This is... He paused. Nice work. Anya grinned. For motivation. Lloyd kept the drawing, not as a mission detail, but as a reminder. He wasn't just training a child. He was shaping a bond he never intended to form. As night fell, Anya drifted to sleep, exhausted from the training mission. Lloyd remained awake at his desk, planning, recalculating, and preparing the next phase. He had infiltrated nations, but now he had to infiltrate a school board of elite parents and scholars. And to do that successfully, he needed not only a child, but a mother. Because the Eden Academy interview required both parents present. The next phase of Operation Strix had just grown even more complicated. Enter Yor Briar, an unexpected mother. Lloyd Forger sat by the window late into the night, reviewing Eden Academy's handbook once more. A bold line stared back at him like a fresh obstacle placed deliberately in his path. Both parents must attend the admissions interview. For a man who had diffused wars and dismantled terrorist networks, this single requirement felt strangely more challenging than any mission he had undertaken. He had secured a child, but to maintain the illusion of a perfect family, he now needed a wife, quickly, convincingly, and with zero risk of compromise. Meanwhile, across the city, a woman named Yor Briar lived a very different life, one split between ordinary and deadly. By day, she was a quiet, socially awkward employee at Berlin City Hall. By night, She was the feared and whispered about assassin known only as Thorn Princess. She moved with the elegance of a shadow, executing criminals with swift precision, leaving behind only silent bodies and the faint scent of iron. Despite her double life, Yor faced her own pressure. Society judged unmarried women harshly. Rumors circulated among her coworkers, suggesting that being single at her age was suspicious, perhaps even criminal. Her younger brother Yuri worried for her future, insisting she find a partner so she could appear normal in society's eyes. Yuri didn't care for romance, but a cover marriage would protect her identity as an assassin. She needed someone who wouldn't pry, question her late-night absences, or unravel her secrets. Two people with two lives, two masks, two missions, and fate was preparing to pull their threads together. The next day, Anya accompanied Lloyd to a tailor for her school uniform. On the way, she overheard fragmented thoughts of passing people, random anxieties, daydreams, secret wishes. But then, something sharp struck her mind. A voice in the crowd, clear, focused, dangerous.
Tonight's target must be eliminated swiftly, no mistakes. Anya's eyes widened. She turned and saw a tall, graceful woman in a red dress browsing dresses in the shop window. To any onlooker, Yor looked calm and gentle, but Anya could hear everything behind the mask. A real-life assassin. To Anya, this wasn't frightening, it was thrilling. A spy for a father, and now an assassin for a mother? Her imagination exploded like fireworks. This was her dream family. Yor and Lloyd's eyes met. A polite exchange, nothing more. But in that brief interaction, both unconsciously analyzed each other. Lloyd sensed something off. Her posture, her awareness, the way she scanned the room, highly trained. He couldn't decipher her background, but she was unlike anyone he had encountered among civilians. Anya, unable to contain her excitement, blurted out, "Papa, she'd make a good mama." Lloyd froze. Yor blinked, confused and flustered. The moment was awkward, yet strangely significant. Later, as Lloyd walked home with Anya, he mulled over the situation. He needed a wife quickly. Yor needed a partner too, one who wouldn't dig into her unexpected lifestyle. It was almost too perfect. But perfection was exactly what he needed. Elsewhere in her apartment, Yor stared at a needle and thread, not for her assassin work, but to mend a dress. Her dual lives were exhausting. Could a fake marriage really make things easier? Could she keep her secret safe? Unbeknownst to both, destiny was aligning their missions like pieces in a covert operation. One spy, one assassin, connected by necessity, but soon bound by fate. And in the middle of it all, a tiny telepath already knew the future that neither adult had fully considered. This family is gonna be legendary. The deal of convenience, a perfectly imperfect proposal. For the next few days, Lloyd Forger found himself scanning public spaces with new criteria, not for enemy agents, but for potential wives. Cafes, parks, grocery stores. Everywhere he looked, he evaluated women like mission assets. None met his criteria. Too talkative, too suspicious, too emotional, too unpredictable. He didn't need love or companionship. He needed stability, silence, and simplicity. A partner who would stay out of his way and help him pass Eden Academy's strict family requirements. But in a city of millions, the universe had already chosen his match.
One afternoon, fate, dressed casually as coincidence, put Lloyd and Yor in each other's path once again. Yor returned to the tailor shop where Anya was being fitted days before. She carried a small package in her hands, a repair for a dress torn during one of her nightly assignments. Lloyd was there too, picking up Anya's uniform. Their eyes met again, but this time, the moment didn't brush past like a passing breeze. It lingered, calm, polite, awkward, and oddly meaningful. A brief exchange turned into a conversation. Yor shyly confessed she needed someone to pretend to be her boyfriend for an upcoming party. Without a partner, she feared she might draw unnecessary attention, the kind that could jeopardize her cover. Lloyd listened, and inside, gears turned rapidly. This wasn't just convenient, it was optimal. A temporary arrangement, a mutually beneficial contract. Lloyd cleared his throat and spoke with the practiced warmth of a man skilled in imitation. "Perhaps we could help each other." To Yor, his voice sounded trustworthy, gentle, safe. For someone who lived in blood and shadows, kindness felt foreign and dangerously comforting. She agreed without hesitation, unaware that the man offering her shelter was a spy manipulating probability with precision. Later that evening, during one of his missions, Lloyd retrieved a ring, or rather, a grenade pin, which he had yanked free during a skirmish. As the explosion lit up the docks behind him, he thought about Yor. Marriage, a word he had never associated with himself. Twilight, the spy, had no family, no past, no attachments. But Lloyd Forger, the persona he crafted, needed them now. At the same time, Yor prepared herself mentally. She had killed for survival, for duty, for the unspoken code of the assassin. But the idea of a relationship, that terrified her more than any blade or bullet. Could she really maintain a facade of domestic life without the sharp edge of her reality cutting through? The night of Yor's party arrived. Lloyd attended as her partner. Their interactions, though awkward, carried a subtle rhythm, as if their secrets recognized each other before their hearts did. The charade played out smoothly until Yor's drunken coworker publicly shamed her for being single. Lloyd stepped in, shielding her with words that felt far too sincere for a lie. It was a performance, yes, but something in Yor's eyes softened. For the first time in years, she felt seen. As they walked home under the quiet glow of streetlights, the city felt suspended in a gentle hush. A warmth brewed between them, quiet, hesitant, and unspoken. Lloyd, torn between duty and unexpected empathy, made his offer official. "Would you consider continuing this arrangement?" Yor nodded with an earnestness that surprised even her. "Yes, I'd like that." In the distance, a church bell chimed, a symbolic echo that neither of them took as fate. But fate didn't need their permission.
A spy seeking peace, an assassin seeking normalcy. A pact sealed not by love, but necessity. Yet in that necessity, the first seed of something real was planted. Soft, fragile, but destined to grow into something extraordinary. And somewhere, listening through a door with eager anticipation, a small telepath grinned. The family was forming, piece by piece, lie by lie, heart by heart.